So hello everybody and welcome to lesson 1 of this 5-day challenge, and I decided to call this challenge the fundamentals of IELTS writing task 2 because what we've really done with this challenge is take the absolute essential things that you need to learn for IELTS writing task 2 and put them into a 5-day challenge. So let's start off by looking at what we're going to do this week. What are we going to do every single day? So this is going to help you with your preparation and help you complete the challenge. Our aim is to build up your knowledge to the point that you have the confidence to get a band 7 or above in IELTS writing task 2. That's exactly what this is for. This is the goal for all of my students, and we show you the way to do this, but you must actually walk the path. The most important thing that you must do is you must complete the challenge. All right, what I want from you at the end of the week is for you to say, that was the best dollar I ever spent. I really improved my writing and I'm far more confident about getting the score that I need. But you must actually take action and you must do the work, do the challenges, look at the feedback, all of those different things. I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm some sort of strict teacher who likes telling people what to do. I'm just really passionate about helping people with this test because it really is a life-changing test, and for many of you it is the thing that is the barrier or the hurdle from your future life that's stopping you getting that job you need or moving to that country, and that is a huge thing. So I want to help you with that. And what we want you to do here, the philosophy of these challenges, is learn, implement, practice. So learning is the videos that we're going to show you, but then you must implement what you learn. Those are the challenges. And practice. So those challenges are also going to give you that bit of practice that you need. So each day I'll upload a lesson at 9 a.m. UK time every single day. These are not live lessons. These are pre-recorded lessons because those lessons are more reliable and higher quality than live lessons. Live lessons, a lot of things can go wrong with it. So that means that we're going to upload them at 9 a.m. But that means that you can watch the videos at any time during that day. And I really recommend that you block off, 45 minutes, an hour a day to do all of this. And the lessons will be about 30 minutes long. The challenges will take you about 10, 15 minutes, something like that. And at the end of each lesson, I'm going to set you a challenge and you must complete this. It's vitally important. Even if you see the challenge and you're like, oh, I don't need to do that, I'm fine. It really will work. It really will activate your knowledge. We've been doing this for years and this really does work. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all of your tasks, all of your work that you've been doing, and I'm going to give collective feedback at 6 p.m. UK time. Now that's going to be a live lesson. You can join live. If you join live, you can interact with me and you can ask any questions that you have. But if you do not have time or you're in a time zone where that's not appropriate or you're working, do not worry because you can catch up with those feedback lessons at any time during the week. So they'll all be stored for you here in the Facebook group. So if you can join live, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. So this is kind of the philosophy of how I teach IELTS and in all of my courses. This is the thing that students say to me. They say, thank you for breaking everything down and making it as simple as possible. So I can't make it as simple as 1 + 1 = 2, but I can make it as simple as possible. And because I teach in a very simple, straightforward way, it encourages my students to communicate with examiners either through writing or speaking, or whether they're doing the reading test or listening test, to do their exam in a simple, straightforward way, which is really where you should be going instead of overcomplicating everything. What I try and do with my students is simplify everything and get them to simplify everything, and that leads to higher scores. That sounds a little counterintuitive, but it really, really does work. Before we get into everything that we're going to be doing today, a number of you have been asking me questions about this, my VIP course. I don't want to talk about this week because I want to help you guys for $1. The VIP course is currently closed. Nobody can join it. All the places are taken. We have a waiting list. Please let's focus on the challenge first. A lot of you have been asking about pricing and can you get in and all of these different things. Let's just focus on the challenge, and that is going to mean that you guys can get the most out of this week, and for just $1. And then if you want to talk about this at the end of the week, no problem, but let's focus on just the challenge. Let's not focus on IELTS VIP this week. Okay, so what are we going to do this week? So today, Monday, we're going to focus on how to answer the question. This is a really, really important stage, a stage that is often overlooked by students, but if you don't understand the question, you can't answer it properly. Then tomorrow we're going to work on clearly stating your message, and a lot of this is going to be about structure. So how to structure a task 2 essay. On tomorrow, that's going to be Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to look at how to develop your main ideas. So this is something that a lot of you need help with. So we're starting at the start on Monday, how to break the question down, how to understand it. Then we're going to move on to structure. Then we're going to move on to like fully developing our main ideas. So we're building out the essay as we go. Then we're going to focus on our vocabulary. On Thursday, we're going to focus a lot on paraphrasing and synonyms and collocations. Those are the fundamental things that a lot of you struggle with. And then finally, we're going to focus on grammar at the end of the week. We're going to refine our essay and improve our essay as much as possible so that by the end of the week, you're far more confident about getting that 7 or above. Everything will be stored for you until the end of the week. All right. And it's really important that you try and keep up with the challenges. I'm setting a deadline so that to encourage as many of you as possible to do this and to do the work. I will be deleting everything after 7 days. So the total amount of work is about 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. So you have 7 days to get all that done. Please do not send me emails complaining about that deadline. I'm not going to change it. I will choose the best examples each day, and questions are fine, guys. No problem asking me any questions, but remember, I'm only one person and you are 2,500. So please bear that in mind. I'll try and get to as many of you as possible, but again, please don't send me nasty emails saying, that I'm not helping you. So the 5 question types for IELTS Writing Task 2 are opinion, discussion, problem solution or cause and solution, advantages and disadvantages, and double questions. Now, a lot of the stuff that we will be doing this week, or most of the stuff that we'll be doing this week, is applicable to all 5 of the different question types. I know a lot of you are worried, and a lot of you have been saying that you want help with all of them. Now, we can't do a 5-day challenge on each one of them, because if we do all of them this week, we're not going to get anything done. You won't learn anything. It'll be too shallow. If we did 5 days on this, 5 days on that, we'd be here for 25 days if we did all 5 of them. So what we're going to do as a compromise is a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about will apply to all question types. So grammar, vocabulary, developing main body, paragraphs, developing ideas, analyzing the question. They're applicable to all of these. However, we will focus all our attention on discussion questions. So the context that we'll be using, all of the questions, all of the examples, all of the challenges, all of those questions will be on discussion questions. So we're not going to look at the other 4 in specifically, but by doing that, it means that you will fully learn how to do discussion questions, and a lot of the stuff you'll be learning will be applicable to all areas. So what are we going to do in this lesson? Today we're going to look at how to answer the question, how to analyze the question, and how to generate ideas. Very, very important. So let's first look at answering the question. This is the most obvious thing you have to do, but the thing that very few of you actually do correctly. I've been doing this for years. I work with a huge number of other IELTS teachers and examiners, and when we speak to each other and when we talk about these things and try and figure out common student problems, one of the most common things that we all say is students just don't answer the question. And if you don't answer the question, you simply can't get a high score. So it doesn't matter how great your vocabulary is, or how great your grammar is, or how amazing your structures are, or anything like that. If you do not understand the question and you don't answer the question properly, you can't get a high score. It's as simple as that. The examiner should be able to read your answer once and be 100% certain that you've answered the question. That should be your goal. Your goal should be to write an answer, to write a Task 2 essay. You should be able to hand that to an examiner or an IELTS teacher. They should be able to read it one time and understand exactly what you think about that question, that you've clearly addressed it and you've clearly answered it. That should be your goal for the end of the week. So many people complain that the questions are simply too hard. One of the things that you have to be very careful with is to make sure you only use real questions. 90%, 95%, I'd say even, of the questions you find online are fake questions. They're either really, really, really difficult, or they're really, really, really easy. And the real questions that you get from Cambridge, IDP, the British Council, IELTS.org, in any of the official Cambridge books, those are the real questions. And they're the level that you need to get to. And remember that this is not an IQ test. It's a writing test. You just need enough knowledge to demonstrate that you can effectively communicate in English. So to answer the question, you do not need to be an expert in any of the different topic areas. You just need a passing knowledge of that. So don't think that you're not smart enough, because all of you are smart enough. Don't think that you don't have a high enough IQ, because all of you do, to answer these questions. Believe me, you do. You just don't know how to do these questions yet, but you will by the end of the week. So let's look at a sample question. In a number of countries, some people think it is necessary to spend large sums of money on constructing new railway lines for very fast trains between cities. Others believe the money should be spent on improving existing public transport. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, at any time in these videos, feel free to pause them. Like if I'm going very quickly and you need a few seconds, or you need a minute just to gather your thoughts or make notes or whatever it is, pause the video. So pause the video and read this and try to understand it, because this is one of the questions that we're going to look at. And what we're going to do is now we're going to learn how to systematically, strategically attack this question and analyze this question. Because what I try and do with my students is make them very strategic thinkers, and to attack questions in a very, very strategic way. And you'll see that in this lesson, but you'll also see it throughout all the lessons today. So let's look at an example of this, like how to analyze the question. So instead of just, your teacher saying to you, oh, just read the question and think about it. Like that is not a very strategic way of thinking about anything. Let's break it down into what you should actually be thinking about, instead of just your teacher saying, just take a minute and think. So the first thing is, what is the overall topic of the question? So is it about education? Is it about technology, the environment, health? What is the overall topic? And that's important because it allows us to then drill down into the specific things within that topic that they want us to talk about. So that's just the first two things that you should be thinking about when you read the question. So read the question, understand the question, and then think, what is this topic? And what are the specific things they want us to talk about? Then the second thing that we want to do is, what do they want us to do? Do they want us to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of it? Do they want us to discuss both views? Do they want us to give our opinion on it? Do they want us to answer a direct question about it? What do the examiners want us to do? Again, that's very, very important, because I'd say a good 25 to 40% of the essays that I look at, students send me essays every day, they're just not doing what the question asks them to do. And we're going to look at that more specifically tomorrow. And then what you want to do is break the question down into simple parts. Again, simplifying everything, making everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. So let's look at each of these steps now in more detail. So step one, understanding. So this is the question again. The first thing we need to do is, what's the main topic? So the topic here is transport. Okay, so it's useful to know this because we're going to drill down into the specifics, but it's also very useful to know this because one thing that a lot of students do is they just will write everything they know about transport. That is not what the question is asking you to do. So thinking about the topic helps you avoid that mistake. And then what we need to do is drill down deeper into the specific thing. So the question is about transport, but it's not about everything about transport. It's about some specific things, which is high-speed rail, existing public transport, and money. All right, these are the three things that it is actually about. So the general thing is transport, but the specific things are high-speed rail, existing public transport, and money, budget money, public money, government money. So now that we've thought about this, we understand the things that we are going to talk about. Now, that is going to be done in the first 30 seconds to 1 minute when you first see the question. Maybe for some people it'll be a bit longer. For others, if I look at a question, I'll do that subconsciously in the first 20 seconds. All right, but it's really, really important that you think strategically about this and you attack questions in that way. It'll make a huge difference to you understanding the question. If you don't understand it, you can't answer it properly. So step 2, what do they want us to do? So here's the question again, and there are a few things that they want us to do. So discuss both views and give your opinion. So what is it that they want us to do? Let's break that down. Why do some people believe view 1? Why do some people believe view 2? What do you think? So they want you to do, in this particular question, this discussion question, all discussion questions, they want you to do 3 things. Why do some people believe view 1? Why do some people believe view 2? What do you think? Now, I look at a lot of essays every single day, and what a lot of people do is they will talk about one view, but they won't talk about the other view. A second group of people will talk about both views, but they won't say what they think. A third group of people will say what they think, but they won't actually discuss both views. In order to answer this question, you must do those 3 things. If you don't do those 3 things, you haven't done what they've asked you to do. All right, so step 1, understand the question. Step 2, what do they want you to do? Step 3, let's break it down. Let's make it even simpler for ourselves. So some people think that money should be spent on new railway lines for fast trains. Some people think that money should be spent on existing transport. So what you're doing here is you're taking it away from a complicated, complex, academic type IELTS question, and you're just putting it into your own words. You're just breaking it down and simplifying it as much as possible, because what I found with a lot of my students was they would look at these questions and they'd be like, oh, this is so complicated, I'm not intelligent enough, I don't know enough about this. And I was like, okay, let's calm down, let's just put this in our own words. So some people think that money should be spent on new railway lines, and some people think it should be spent on existing public transport. Can you deal with that? Can you talk about that? Yeah, no problem. So you see, when you break it down and simplify it and put it in your own words and take out all the complexity, then it becomes much, much easier. Again, these 3 steps, you're going to be doing this in, it's taken me 20 minutes to talk about this, but it's so important. But you'll be doing this in the first 2 or 3 minutes, and once you get into the swing of this, of doing this and implementing this and practicing this for every question, then it becomes natural, and you become so fast and so good and so effective at looking at a question and doing these things. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now that we've fully understood the question, idea generation. All right, so idea generation, for what I do is I do not tell people to brainstorm. Brainstorming is the worst thing you could do. It's also the most common thing that teachers tell students. What do they tell you to do? Look at the question, think about it, and then brainstorm. That doesn't work, all right? It really does not work. As you know, as a student, it just doesn't work. So what I do with students is I get them to think about each of the different types of question differently, because they're all slightly different. So what I'm going to show you is how I help my students with idea generation for discussion questions. So what I get them to do is think about it in 3 stages. Why would someone think X? So why would someone think that side? So instead of brainstorming and thinking of all of these different ideas, just why would someone think that? And then when they think of an idea, put it through this filter. Is that idea logical? Is it obvious? And is it specific? All right, if it's logical, it makes sense, good. If it's obvious, like a lot of people, if you asked 100 people, 90% of them would say that. And is it specific? So it's not vague. If you can answer yes to all 3 of those questions, it's probably a good idea. Number 3, is that something I know enough about to explain and support with an example? So it doesn't matter if you have a great idea and it's logical, obvious, specific, but you just don't know anything about that idea. And the best ideas are the ones that you can write about. It doesn't matter if you think of a good idea, but you don't know enough about it. So for discussion questions, this is all you need to do. For side 1, so there's 2 sides to discuss both views. One view, why would someone think that? All right, so I've got some ideas. Is it logical? Is it obvious? Is it specific? And then can I write about that? If you can do those 3 things for both sides of the discussion, then you've got your ideas and you can go on. So let's look at this in more practical terms. If you're not getting this, if it's going over your head a little bit, pause the video, think about it, but we're going to continue. We're going to look at examples, so don't worry if you don't get this immediately. So let's look at this question. So let's use that idea generation technique and let's show you what it looks like in real life. So some people think that money should be spent on new railways for fast trains. Why would someone think that? It reduces journey times. All right, very simple. That's obvious, that's straightforward, that's specific, and I can talk about that. Okay, let's look at the other side. All right, so we've thought about an idea for the first side. Now let's look at the other side. So some people think that money should be spent on existing public transport. Why would they say that? Why would somebody say that? It benefits a greater number of people. Okay, that's simple, that's straightforward, that's obvious, that's specific. And I can talk about that. I can explain it and I can think of an example. So you see how this generates instant, specific, relevant ideas. All right. Instead of you putting, a circle or a cloud on a piece of paper and thinking of 17 different ideas, and most of them aren't even relevant. All you do with this particular type of question is just state the side and then think, why would somebody think this? They would think it because your idea. So you're thinking in a very straightforward, logical, and most importantly, a fast way. All right. Brainstorming will result in a huge number of irrelevant ideas and you're wasting your time. And you do not need to think of the most amazing, like professor, Oxford or Cambridge level ideas. Just the obvious ones, the simple ones are always the best. So let's summarize what we did in this lesson. We looked at the 3 stages of question analysis, and we looked at idea generation for discussion questions. Now let's move on to activating all of those things that we've learned and doing the challenge. So here's the challenge. Here's a different question. Some people believe that it is good to share as much information as possible in scientific research, business, and the academic world. Others believe that some information is too important or too valuable to be shared freely. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to do 3 things. And I want you to think about these 3 things for this question and write them below this video. First question, what's the main topic? What are the specific things they want us to discuss? And think of one idea for both sides. So apply what we have learnt in this lesson to this question, and that's how you learn. So here's some guidance. This is all part of a multi-step process. If there's some things that you're like, oh, what about this? And I have questions about this and I don't understand this. Do not worry. This is just the first lesson and all the lessons link together. Most of your questions will be answered and everything will become clearer as we go through the week. Keep it simple, all right? Do not try and overcomplicate things at this stage. Do not write a full essay. Do not write a full plan. Just answer those 3 questions. do the challenge. I can't emphasize enough how important that is. And post below this video. All right, don't email it to me or send it to me on Facebook or something like that. Just post it below this video so that all of them are in one place and I can see all of them. Thank you very much, guys. Hope that you enjoyed that lesson. See you at 6 p.m. If you want to come along for the live feedback session at 6 p.m, I'll be there and I'll give you feedback on your answers, and I'll also be answering any questions. And if you don't, if you can't make it at 6 p.m, don't worry. You can watch that feedback session at any time. I'll post it, I'll record it and post it in the group. Thank you very much, guys. Absolute pleasure teaching you. Thank you very much again. Bye-bye.